Okay, on to new business.
We need to have, sorry, we need to have the vote on it since no one pulled anything. Motion to vote on and approve the consent items.
I can't, you're echoing, I can't hear you.
Make a motion to accept all 4 consent agenda items.
I'll say, okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Ahoy.
motion, okay.
1 second. The guys in the booth, we are getting quite a bit of an echo out here. If you can fix that a little bit, thank you.
Okay, so I have a motion by Member Goldich, seconded by
Aloy.
Member Aloy. All those in favor on the consent agenda? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay, we're on to no items were pulled. Quasi-judicial variances, interpretation items. City attorney needs to swear in the applicants and any other members or persons speaking on any of these variance items.
Hi, if there's any member of the public who's going to speak on items 5 or 6, you can rise and raise your right hand. Do you swear to speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, number 5 is ZV 225-009, Tanglewood Plaza, 9610 and 9728 Pines Boulevard variance request. Do you waive your quasi-judicial rights?
You have to speak into the mic. Thank you. Is it on?
No.
I apologize first for the being a bit old school here and not having a PowerPoint presentation.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I do need you to state your name for the, thank you.
Sure. I'm Sam Susi. I am the owner of the property as well as an attorney. Essentially, I want to try to do a little bit of an explanation of what's happening here, but we're seeking a variance to allow us to have 186 parking spaces, even though we only have, in fact, 156 spaces, so a 30 space variance. This property was built in 1984. This property was built in 1984. At the time when the property was built, the type of businesses that were utilizing this type of property were less parking intensive, according to city code. Currently, the property has moved to more intense uses by city code, more medical uses, more hair cutting and salons, restaurants. We're here primarily because one tenant wishes to switch from a takeout only to a sit-down restaurant. These spaces are very small. There's 21 tenants in the back of the shopping center. So they're all very small spaces, all mom and pop businesses. But some of them are, there's a person that does limbs, artificial limbs. There's all, different types of businesses of that nature, which based on the parking code require additional parking. Previously, we had non-concurrent parking. We've always been short of parking. We've never had a parking issue in the sense that people haven't been able to find conveniently located spaces to visit the businesses that they're going to at the center. But we had an approval from the city back, I believe, in 2012, which allowed for non-concurrent parking. That basically means that depending on the time of day that the businesses were open, we could have less parking than code required. And that was approved. At the time, we had a large church, and because churches are open on nights and weekends, it was an easy thing to accomplish. Because that church is no longer there, and we now have an urgent medical care in the front, empty now, we have to meet the medical parking codes, even though they don't park in that fashion. They don't have a lot of parking, even though the code, I think, requires them to have something like 35 parking spaces. The additional interesting thing about this property is that it has an out parcel that we are required to park for, and that's the KinderCare out parcel. Again, back in 1984, when this was being done, this was considered one entire project. The shopping center behind, the KinderCare, what is now the medical building, which was previously originally a tool rental store, and then now what is now the Starbucks. The Starbucks owns its own property and does its own parking, as does KinderCare. It owns its own property, but it has no parking spaces. So they use our parking spaces. By code, they're required to have something in the neighborhood of 14 parking spaces. That further burdens our property's ability to park our tenants. For example, if we didn't have to provide for KinderCare, we would have sufficient parking without any variance to accommodate Bird's desire to be a sit-down restaurant instead of just a takeout restaurant. So there's several unique things about this property that predate my ownership, and also it's 40 years old, and things have changed, and the nature of businesses in these types of properties have changed. I did want to point out, I'll use this, although you can see it. Let me, no, I'm going to, yeah, if you can put it forward. So this property is actually pretty isolated. It has no neighbors per se. It's got 96th Street on one side, it's got Pine Boulevard on the other, and it's got a major entrance between ourselves and the next commercial adjacent tenant, which is a daycare center, primarily, although there are some offices on the building that faces east. That property has its own parking and has no issue, with us either. So it's a unique parcel that we can't add parking. There's residential behind us, which is not affected by having additional parking. There's nobody that's objected to us having additional parking. This, I think, meets the standard definition for the need for a variance. We're asking for a little bit more than we absolutely need right now, because every time there's a change in a tenant, if we didn't do this, we'd have to come back. We need 2 more parking spaces. We need 3. So this allows me to present a new tenant prospect to staff that doesn't then have to go through the entire approval process. Because most tenants are mom and pop tenants and the process is long and expensive, it would not make it viable for tenants to locate there. So we're asking the zoning board to consider this zoning application favorably. I think we meet all the requirements. It's particular to this property. It's not something that you're going to find very commonly. If we don't get it, I think eventually the types of tenants that will want to move there will not be able to go there, and eventually it'll start having vacancies, which nobody would like to have. It's not something that was self-created. It was created at the time when the shopping center was built back in 1984, based on the circumstances that existed at the time, in order also to accommodate a user that the shopping center doesn't own, but yet has to provide parking for. It's not incompatible with public policy, doesn't affect the neighbors negatively. There's no objection, from the public to it, so I'd appreciate it if the board will consider this favorably and grant us the variance. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious about KinderCare and the 14 parking spaces that they're using your property, yet they own their building without parking spaces. Do you guys have an agreement? Do you
Yes.
guys have, okay.
Yes, we have an agreement that requires me to provide that parking for them.
Understood.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Lee?
Just, I'm very familiar with that parcel.
Mm-hmm.
I go over there a lot. That said, and I remember before it was even built. So you have, let's just clarify, you have no space to add any additional parking space. The parking spaces that are there are what's there, have been there for years.
Since time immemorial, yeah.
Right. So there's no other way, you can't add anything to
No,
it, put it that
there's
way.
no place to add parking.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that and
Okay.
have it on the record.
Thank you.
So,
I've been out there twice at around 6 o'clock, And the east half of the parking lot is really very full. The west part is not. So the restaurant is going to replace Bird's Hot Chicken?
No, Bird's Hot Chicken is the restaurant that's coming in. It's at the very end here, which is the east side. And the reason you see the busyness on the east side is because that's the gym that typically does people in the evenings. And then Bird's is also a more evening business because people come for dinner.
I can hear you.
The rest of the center is much more retail-oriented and medical, which are closed. And people will park. It will definitely be a little bit busier at different times of the day in different parts of the center.
Where exactly is the restaurant going?
Right here in this section marked red there.
Okay, so it's on in the eastern part. Well,
On
they're
the
going to
very-
have to
the
hoof it
very
from the
east.
western parking
It's
place.
the very east space. But none of it is particularly far, like from the spaces around here. The gym is approximately in this location. And, they're going to the gym, so everybody likes the closest parking space, but
Is the
I don't think-
restaurant going to be just the size of one parcel there?
Correct, it's just one small bay. I think we're looking at 10 seats approximately. Yeah, approximately 10 seats inside the approximately 10 seats inside the restaurant.
Okay.
They also have to comply with code for their own requirements for having seating independent of the parking. The parking is the issue that says you got to get across that first before you get to, fire safety and building and all the other issues that they will have to comply with.
Questions from any other board members?
Yes, I have one. This became a situation with which tenant moving in?
So the tenant in the middle, right here.
The
So if you look at,
MD,
that's the MD now.
the MD, they've been there a while.
I'd say about 1.5 years, 2 years.
Oh, is that all? God.
Yeah, previous to that, they were a church. It was a church.
So when you're, in general, when you're leasing those out parcels, especially, are you taking into consideration how it's going to affect your parking and if it's going to take you over any limits before you rent to them?
No, of course we do. And at the time that we leased to MD Now, there was a church in the building itself. So that allocated parking that allowed us to use the non-concurrent parking as the basis for complying with the parking requirements. The non-concurrent parking said you have 156 parking spaces, but between 7 and 9, you use 100 of them. Between 9 and 12, you use 85 of them. Between and so on. So it allows you to understand the fluctuation of the businesses. But the way the code is written, it doesn't really matter when a business is open. So, for example, you mentioned that the east side of the parking lot was busy in the evening. The code doesn't allow me to say, well, then it shouldn't be a problem because the rest of the parking lot is empty.
Right.
They can be open at that time. It's typical that they might be, so therefore the code requires me to provide the parking for it. I think I'm saying that correctly. Yeah.
Any other questions from board members? Any members of the public wish to address this item? Okay, I need a motion,
Make a motion to accept the variance and
and you have to say the purpose, whether it's A, B, C, or C on the variance.
sorry, I gotta go back and look at my ABC. Oh, where is it? Which page is it on? Sorry. Where is it?
I would say like B,
Oh, okay, never mind.
this is not
I got it.
self-created.
There's A, B, or C.
C, I guess, right? Right? Sorry.
It's on the back of it.
On the back of that. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong page. Okay. C, I'll stick with my C. C.
C, okay, I have a motion from Member Goldish to approve citing C. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Doris Gonzalez. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you so
Good
much.
luck with your restaurant.
Thank you. Have a lovely evening.
Okay, on to number 6, ZV 2025-001, Shabbat Lubavitch of Pembroke Pines, 18490 Johnson Street, variance request. Do we have a petitioner?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Your city attorney, your assistant city attorney. Madam Chair,
Yes?
thank you. I don't believe that the applicant is present or the applicant's representative is present at the meeting yet. Staff has no reason to believe that neither the applicant nor the representative are intending to not be present at this meeting. So you have a couple of options. You as chair, you do have the discretion to hear this item out of order, and if you'd want to leave it for a later part of your agenda and consider it, toward the end, then that's your prerogative to do so. If the board wishes to table this item to another meeting, then you can act on that as well. But again, in conversation with staff, there has been no communication from neither the applicant nor the representative of their intent to be absent today. But staff would not be able to explain why they aren't here right now.
Well, we have the staff report, right? And any backup? Are we able to vote on it?
They're not here.
Well, it's a variance.
Even though they're not
and it's
here?
it's a variance. It's a quasi-judicial matter. As you know, you always ask if an applicant's willing to waive their rights. There are certain rights that come with having a quasi-judicial application. Our recommendation would be, again, either you could make a decision to table the item, or you could wait till the end of the meeting and see if the applicant is present, and then make a determination at that point.
So we should postpone this unless they appear later in the meeting?
Well, I would recommend then, if you're gonna go down that path, to just you state on the record that you're gonna hold this. You're gonna put this item on hold for now as part of the meeting, and then you're gonna revisit it toward the end of the meeting.
Okay, this is, item number 6 is on hold. All right, on to number 7. Quasi-judicial site plan items. SP 2024-009, AT&T 13900 Pines Boulevard site plan amendment.
Great.
Do you waive your quasi-judicial proceeding rights?
I do. We're not keeping a verbatim record of this hearing.
Okay.
As an attorney, it feels a little uncomfortable, but I'm okay. So good evening, members of the board. My name is Leslie Lewis.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Did you complete a form?
I did.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Again, I'm Leslie Lewis. I'm an outside real estate attorney for AT&T, Bell South Telecommunications, and all the related entities, and I've been doing that for over 30 years. I know I started when I was 12.
Can you speak more into the microphone, please?
I'm sorry? Okay. So before you on the screen is the Pembroke Pines Service Operations Center, an artist rendering of the new gate that AT&T hopes to install as part of this project. A service operations center for AT&T is where the service people who repair your equipment, install equipment, maintain equipment, go in the morning. They pick up their work orders. They pick up the materials that they need to complete their work orders, and then they get on the job. There's approximately 100 of those AT&T vans that you see all over, and about 30 of the larger vehicles with a boom on them. And all of those vehicles are leaving this property at approximately 9:30 in the morning. So you've got 130 vehicles exiting out of the north part of the property. Let me see what else I wanted to tell you. So you can't tell from this artist rendering, but from the north end of the property, AT&T will only exit from here. We will not use it as an entrance. However, the driveway path there was created larger than would be typically needed. It's 20 feet wide, and that was at the request of fire department, so that the fire department could also use this path to enter the property, which adds an additional positive factor to this installation. Okay. So I'm going to move to slide. This on slide 2 shows the path that is currently taken from the AT&T property, and you see the service vehicles leave the property, they head south, and they have to go basically a loop of 5 miles before they get back to being essentially due west of the property where they could be if they had better access. So it's a lot of time, and it's 130 vehicles on that road that don't need to be there necessarily. Why are we here today, though? AT&T desires to create a safer path. I want to go back to slide. Can I go back to slide 2? There we go. So AT&T desires to create a safer path so that their service vehicles, when they leave the property, as I said, about 9:30, will have a safer path to start on their work orders. They either need to, well, there's a couple of different ways that they're doing it now. The property, on each side of the property, there's a shopping center, and there are service roads at the shopping center, or maybe they cut through the shopping center. In any event, the way that they're doing it is not particularly safe, and it takes extra time and is an unnecessary burden on the road that they're using. So let me go back to slide 3, please. So we'll have direct access then, as you can see on the, oh, I have somebody helping me that it's not helping me. At the south end of the property, this is south, the AT&T property is there in the middle, about 300 parking spaces, because we have the 130 vehicles, and we have each service person coming in, parking their car, and then picking up the vehicle that's there. Okay. This slide really wants to go to slide 4, so let's do that. At slide 4, we see currently existing along the road where this wall will be installed. That's what it looks like. Very lush, mature trees and landscaping. But if you look through the trees, you can see the chain link fence. And the chain link fence, which is there now, not particularly attractive. It's hidden fairly well by these trees, but it will look a lot nicer, more attractive. If you look at the photo on the right side, that's a precast concrete wall. There will be additional trees and shrubs installed, which is shown on but again, looking at on the left photo with those mature oak trees, that concrete wall looking through that photo will be where the chain link fence is, if you can see that pretty well. Okay, good. So this slide shows the elevation of the precast concrete wall and the trees landscape that will be installed. As part of your materials, you received, I believe, the full application approved package of AT&T, and there's a very thorough and complete landscape plan in there that has been approved by staff. And the final slide shows us the full view of the location, looking down, the existing foliage or trees on the left, and then coming in a bit, the new wall with the additional new trees. The concrete area there is where the storage area for our materials. And then we have asphalt, and then the narrow rectangle there is the existing building. So We are asking for this board to approve our plans so that we can go forward and install the wall, install the driveway, creating safety for the vehicles, lessen the burden of traffic on the other city roads. So on behalf of AT&T, I wish to thank you all, and especially city staff, for helping us so much through this process. It's, complicated, a lot of detail, and we're happy to be, hopefully, at the finish line. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, I have one.
Questions from the board members? Member Gonzalez?
What is your goal, objectives?
Well, the objective is for us, for AT&T, to be able to use Southwest 5th Street as a driveway. Right now, it's a private service road, and it's owned by one of the shopping centers, Federated. AT&T has negotiated an access easement to use that driveway legally, and it will help to compensate for the landscape maintenance in that area as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have questions?
Yes, does this wall replace all the chain link fencing that you have there?
No, the wall is just on,
The one side?
I don't think so. All of it, Ted, or just part?
It just replaces the south side.
Okay.
And we're using it.
I'm sorry, sir,
Yeah, here, yeah.
you will need to come up and just
Yeah, and
state your
he's
name,
filled out
please,
a
and
form.
thank you.
This is Ted Rue. He's the head architect for AT&T, and he's actually been it a little bit longer than me. Come on, Ted.
Yeah, my name is Ted Rue. I'm an architect for AT&T. And the wall, the idea of the wall is to protect the view from the yard area where the equipment is stored. They've got cable reels and all kinds of equipment on that light gray area. And you can see that underneath the trees when you're driving into the shopping center. So the shopping, we did that to appease the shopping center. They were very interested in having the wall because it improves the entrance look into the shopping center.
It's the beautification aspect of the project.
Yeah, that was, the question was, well, of course it is, and I appreciate that people will learn about me. My number one pet peeve is chain link fencing.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the wall. But my question was, does it leave on other sides chain link anywhere, or does this wall replace all chain link?
We're taking down the chain link where we're putting up the wall, of course. But
there are others.
On the sides of the existing service center, there is chain link, which we're keeping. The chain link is very well hidden because there's a large green areas on both sides, which are heavily landscaped. You can't even see the chain link fence.
So this side, you're replacing it where it's most visible.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, I went out there to look at this, and it's like a little mini wilderness area out there right now.
It's a lot of trees.
The landscaping that you show on either side of the exit, is that the existing landscaping?
Well, we're cutting in the new road, and we zigzagged the road for a couple of reasons. We were trying to get away from the existing entrance to the shopping center to try to keep the traffic away from that. Also, we cut the road away because we found an area there where we could come through without taking down the big oak trees that are there. Some of those
I'm
oak
just
trees-
asking if those are the bushes that are there, is that what you show on number 6?
Excuse me?
On number 6, so we have these.
Because they need to be trimmed back if those are the ones that are there now. Because and then there's a big dip in the land. I don't know if that's a drainage thing or not.
It's a drainage ditch, and when we cross the drainage ditch, we've got culverts through, so.
So you're going to put a culvert under the road so that that
Exactly.
drainage area
Exactly.
stays? Okay.
So it works.
Well, if that's the existing landscaping, it needs to be trimmed back because Southwest 5th kind of curves around from there, and the visibility's not real great.
As part of the landscape plan, it states right on the landscape plan that the pruning of the existing landscape will occur, that an arborist needs to be present during the existing landscape pruning. So that is on page, let me see which one of your.
Is there a culvert in the plan you submitted?
The landscaping is,
Because
So
otherwise your
shown
road's
on,
gonna sink and flood.
So if you look on, and I believe you have these plans in your materials, if you look on page one,
L100.
not L300?
L300?
L300, I'm sorry.
Yeah, L300, it shows the tree disposition, and then in the cloud, in the middle at the bottom, it discusses the structural pruning that will occur under the auspices of an arborist.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be a pretty big culvert because that's a very wide and deep.
It is.
Yeah, the area is 40 feet from the property line to the wall.
Yeah.
So is that gate gonna close after every truck goes through, or like in the morning it's gonna be open and all the trucks are gonna be going out?
I think it's hard for me to speculate, but the gate is, when there's trucks going through, it'll stay
Open pretty much?
open, and then it will close.
But it's only gonna be used as an exit, it's not gonna be used as
By
an entrance?
AT&T exit only.
Only an exit, yes.
Fire
other-
vehicles can use it anytime.
That other entrance, it's on the main drive into the shopping center, it's not a
That's an
very-
easy right turn in, though.
Yeah, that's not a very good way to be going in and out.
Well,
Okay.
it won't be out anymore.
Any members of the audience want to address this item? Any more questions from board members?
I just have one more question. About the Fifth Street, you said that you had worked out authorization for use of the Fifth Street.
Yes, there's an access easement that was negotiated with the the owner of the shopping center, that folks that own Southwest Fifth Street. It's a private drive. And so we have that access easement negotiated, and part of that access easement is for AT&T to participate in the cost of maintaining the landscape. Not just putting it in that we're doing, but to maintain it.
Right, okay.
Anybody else?
Just one more thing with there's an apartment house across the street from where you want to put the driveway in on Fifth. And also Fifth is also the other entrance into Pembroke Gardens. 9:30 in the morning, I know it's not traffic a lot going into Pembroke Gardens, but coming out
There's
because of the
hardly
apartments.
any traffic in the morning when AT&T people are leaving. I sat there one morning for an hour, and there's hardly any traffic going into the shopping center.
Right, what
at
about
that time.
and the apartment building that's there too, what about that? Coming, when all those people are leaving in the morning, or were they already gone by that time?
Yeah,
The apartment is a 5-story, 6-story apartment, is it 5-story, 4-story?
There's
Windsor,
an apartment
it's called
building
Windsor
across
Pines.
the
Windsor,
street.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think they use another entrance because the entrance onto Fifth Street that they have is locked.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I did not know that,
yeah.
okay.
And of course, as part of the staff approval for this project to go forward to this board, there were not one, but I think two traffic studies.
Yeah, we did a traffic study, and then we revised the traffic study, so they're happy with it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any other
So
questions?
how many, yes, hello. So how many trucks, this is just gonna be in the morning, it's just for exit for the trucks to go for
Correct.
service?
It's
And
when
so what's the time?
they leave approximately 9:30.
And then there's an exit, there's an entrance where they come back, that's from Second
That's the
Street.
existing entrance
The existing
annex.
entrance
So
they will
this
be
will
using, yeah.
only be active at 9:30 in the morning for how many approximate?
130.
130 trucks.
Yeah. We're not changing the number. That's the number that's
So
there now.
130 trucks will be exiting at 9:30, and when they're done,
Actually, they start a lot earlier than,
Oh, do they?
9:30.
Yeah,
They start leaving there about 7:30 in the morning. And they maybe go to about 9 o'clock.
Okay. And with that many trucks, how come it takes so long to get, I'm kidding.
Just as a point of interest for everybody, I think that AT&T has been there since, what, the 70s or something?
I was thinking it was
I think it's been there since the
40-plus
70s, and there
years.
was nothing around.
Yeah,
at the time.
yeah.
45, 50 years.
I remember seeing it as a kid, and I won't tell you
Yeah,
how old I am.
yeah, it's been, yeah. I had looked on the deed, and then I didn't jot it down, but I was remembering it at least 40 years. It's pretty typical for AT&T buildings.
It's a very large piece of property also.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept what are we calling it?
Variance for the fence.
Is it a variance? Oh, I'm sorry, to approve the site plan as proposed.
I'll
Do I have a
second
second?
that. Second.
Okay. Motion by Member Goldish, second by Member Doris Gonzalez. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much, ladies
Good
and
luck.
gentlemen.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate
Thank
it.
you, I look forward to seeing it.
Thank you.
Okay, SP number 8, SP 2025-003, Flamingo Pines Square Shopping Center, 12502 Pines Boulevard, site plan amendment. Do we have a petitioner? No petitioner? We do have a petitioner. Hello there.
Hello, everyone.
Do you wish
Excuse
to
me,
waive your
real
quasi-judicial?
quickly, there's a form up there on the top. Before you leave, please fill it out and print your name neatly so that I have it correct in the minutes. You can give it to me when you're done. So now you can do the presentation, but I just need that before we're done. Thank you.
Do you
Sounds good.
wish to waive your quasi-judicial proceeding rights? Most people say yes.
Oh, yes, sorry.
First, I need to introduce yourself.
don't have to.
You need
You
to
don't have
state your
to.
name, and then you can waive your rights.
Okay. So I'm Scott Hill. I'm with Steve Myatt Architects.
And my name is Giselle Vergés, also with Stephen Myatt Architect.
Okay. What do you want to do?
Wait. So we're here to talk about.
Get it. Yeah, speaking to the microphone. Please.
It's really not tall enough, the microphone.
1 second.
There you go.
There we go. Is that better?
Yes.
So we're here to talk about a Flamingo Pines Square shopping center that we want to do an exterior facade renovation to. And in the process of doing the renovation, we're going to fix some water damage that occurred to it. And so this is the presentation showing that. It's located at 12502 Pines Boulevard. And so it's going to consist of 3 buildings that are receiving the renovation. One of them is there's a Goodwill. It's what's the name of the school again? There's a
preschool?
Yeah, there's like a preschool. There's also a technical college that does nursing in that plaza, and then a few just shops. And there's also the USPS Center that's in the same area. And so yeah, so the main goal is, like we said, just to really give the building a facelift, to modernize it, fix some of the
Good.
water issues.
Yeah,
Sorry.
there you go.
Sorry.
That's
Yes, so that's the main goal, is just really to modernize the exterior facade while fixing some of the water damage that occurred to it. And yeah. And so these are what the buildings currently look like. And so in the corners, we're adding some decorative louvers, some lighting to make it look nicer. We're raising up the parapets to give it a more square look. And yeah. And do you have anything about the coloring?
Yeah, when it comes to the color, at this moment, the building has very outdated colors that don't match the surroundings. And the colors that we're trying to bring, let me show you here an overview of them, are basically these colors that we're aiming to bring a more modern tone to the area and to all the buildings. Since there is so much diversity, such as restaurants, there is schools and everything, we try to get a combination of colors that could apply to all of them, but at the same time, keeping the idea of bringing up the value of all the properties.
And, yeah, that's
Cole,
pretty
do you
much
have
it.
the color samples?
She just had it up on the screen.
Yeah, I know, but usually they bring them.
Oh,
Colors look different up there. See?
Yeah.
Aha. Okay. Thank you.
Actually, nice.
And this is the iron one color, or that's just a sample, that's just black? Or is that the iron one color you chose, or,
yeah, the iron one is for the trim.
and that's what that is, or that's what that will be?
That's what the louvers will be, because there's decorative louvers on.
Okay, this is just sample black now. Okay.
Does this include Publix,
The different shopping center.
different shopping center?
Yeah, it doesn't include Publix.
We
It's
can ask
behind
questions?
it?
There's no behind it.
We can ask questions?
West of Flamingo and south of Pines.
Yep.
That's where the Publix is.
Madam Chair?
It's connected,
It's-
right?
so
It's
you're-
separate
Yeah, it
shopping
was,
center though.
sorry,
You're
it was
just the
developed as
buildings
one
behind
shopping
it.
center, but that is separate ownership, so they're not touching that portion of the shopping center.
thought
They
this
don't
was
own that
Publix,
property.
or-
You mentioned you
Publix
had
is
water
excluded.
damage. How, is it the roof or that has a damage?
It's in the actual front
It's
facade.
not part of the shopping center.
Let's see. Yeah, it's like where the signs go for the business. It looks like some water got in from like the parapet, so we're putting on some new coping and gonna replace the damaged exterior. It's plywood construction, so when they take the stucco off, they're gonna take off the plywood, inspect it, make sure there's no water damage to the supporting members, put new plywood, waterproof it, and restucco it.
Thank you.
Are you asking approval for any signage at this time, or are you gonna come back for that?
All the signage is gonna be done under a separate permit. This is all just for the painting, the stucco, and the reworking of the parapets.
Okay.
Any questions from board members? Anyone from the public want to talk about the colors? Do I have a motion on this item?
I'll second.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who made the motion.
Lloyd made the motion.
I second. Goldie.
Motion made by member Aloy, seconded by member Goldich. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I know, but these people have been waiting the whole meeting, so they can go at the
I'm
end.
just letting you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw him come in. Okay.
Should we, I just have a question. Is this becoming like a standard kind of color combination around the city? Are we kind of watching
I can't hear you.
that,
Say again?
we're getting kind of a standardized color combination of the grayish kind of thing, or are we watching?
I don't think so. I know that City of
On-
Miramar
on
has
thing?
like set templates, we don't.
Yeah,
So it's
we-
just based on the location and.
Item number 9, SP 2025-004, Culvers at Village of Mayfair, 1580 South Hiatus Road, site plan amendment. Do you waive your quasi-judicial proceeding rights?
Yes, we do,
Yes.
Madam Chair. Yes, we do.
Tell us about your project.
Good evening. First of all, I want to make sure that, Madam Secretary, we completed the form, and you have it. Thank you. My name is Manny Sinilowski. I'm an architect here in Broward County. My associate, my colleague, Michelle Diaz-Mendez, the world's greatest civil engineer, is here with us. And I want to introduce you to Baron and Janine Waller, Mr. and Mrs. Culver. They are actually the largest Culver's minority franchisee in the country. So it's very nice that they came to join us this evening. The project that we want to present to you for your approval for site plan is the first Culver's in the city of Pembroke Pines. The project is located on the corner of Pembroke Road, which runs east-west, and Hiatus Road, which runs north-south. That whole corner is called Village of Mayfair, and Village of Mayfair has been previously developed, except for the last 3.57 acres to the west. And Culver's will be one of the, if you will, users that is going to come and, in effect, complete the development of this parcel. To the east of, if you go back just there you go. To the east of Culver's, there is a Wawa station, and if you can locate that, Michelle, with the cursor, so that we see this. That's the canopy, and above that is the building that has all of its, there you go, all of its retail operations. And for that matter, above that, there is a V-shaped building on the water's edge that has a combination of medical offices, a small preschool, a barber shop. There is Finger Licking, which is Jamaican food, very, very tasty. And then there is Elite Medical, also a medical office building. And that whole parcel, in effect, is Village of Mayfair. Wawa is going to occupy about 1.35 acres of the undeveloped parcel. And to the north of Culver's, you're going to, later on in the summer, see a site plan for a proposed self-storage facility. The Culver's project, in effect, is 4,500 square feet of conditioned building that has a significant food preparation area as well as a dining area. And we were here before you previously to get a variance which you approved that allowed the stacking at the two queues to be reduced from 5 to 4 behind the ordering board. You have a regulation that required 5. We asked that it be reduced to 4 because candidly we were providing not 1 but 2 drive-through lanes for ordering. As you can see, the cars that are going to go through the drive-through literally would line up on our property without impacting any activity either at Wawa or, for that matter, to our neighbor to the north or our other neighbors to the east. Part of the project is not only the building and the parking and pavement improvements, but a significant amount of landscaping that's going to complete the perimeter of Village of Mayfair, as well as a significant number of interior islands. This is a blow-up of the site proper, if you will. We actually exceed the parking requirement by a few spots. We, in effect, aren't even counting the holding areas for vehicles that are ordering, that are waiting on their order. And we're making sure that we're not impacting any other crossroads that occur either to the north or to the south of us throughout the Village of Mayfair. As it relates to color, materials, textures, you can see that this is a little bit different than the so-called modern contemporary grays and whites and black tones that are occurring throughout. This is much a branding material and color scheme, although we've taken a lot of elements from the existing Village of Mayfair such as the siding and such as the horizontal banding at the base of the building, and for that matter, the scale of the openings, and for that matter, the elements that occur. Those are aluminum shutters that occur over windows to mimic what is there today. And we've added a stone material, and I'm going to just take a second to grab the material board, and that way you can pass it around. The lighter board, easy to get around, okay? This is quite heavy, so just be careful. This is the actual stone that we would be placing. And just so that you can sense the colors and the texture, I'm going to put this, if it's okay, to bring it to the, yep, if you want to take the view of it.
Thank you.
Stone is nice. Like the stone.
These are some 3D images of the building massing. And in fairness, it doesn't really show the other buildings that occur behind or on the side of it. But it gives you a pretty good idea of the scale. For instance, the dumpster enclosure is very much hidden behind the architecture that is very similar to the building. For that matter, the outdoor sitting area has a attractive, I'm going to call it bench fence element to define it and to protect it. The umbrellas that are shown there are intended to be there because probably 8 months out of the year it's going to be a lot of fun to be outside. During the summer, not so much. And as it relates to signage, we have included, and hopefully I'm going to say this correctly, code-compliant signage as part of this site plan application. We will be back probably in August to ask you for a variance for signage that we purposely have not included today. And not that we're trying to bait and switch. The sign that you see here is all code compliant and we intend to install it. The sign that we didn't show you, if we don't get a variance, then we won't install it. But if we get a variance, we'd like to be able to install it. And it's not complicated, but some of your regulations are very particular. Things like how big the menu board can be. And we have a menu that's very extensive. We purposely photograph the item as part of the menu so that people can understand better the menu board. And when you add photographs to the copy, you need a little more room. So we went ahead and showed you a lesser board that, again, if we don't get the variance, then it is what it is. But we'd like to get a board that really is appropriate for the type of menu that we have. So it's nothing earth-shattering, but I don't want you to feel that we're trying to deceive you tonight. This is a transparent effort to tell you that we've met the sign criteria with the signage that we're proposing, and the items that don't meet will be back and ask for your consideration. And then the next image is the overall, just to give you a better sense in two-dimension as to, and maybe we'll highlight where this is our site plan today. Okay, this is the Wawa that we spoke to you about that's been there for, I don't know, maybe 5+ years, plus or minus. This is that V-shaped building along the water's edge. that's finger licking, that's Elite. This entrance exists and remains on hiatus. This entrance exists and remains on Pembroke Road. There is an additional entrance directly to Wawa that remains and exists to their parcel, and there is an additional entrance right only that exists there that in effect could give access to Wawa, but would also be able to give us access. I think we have one more image, which unfortunately we weren't able to render, but we wanted to show you the I'm going to say the fabulous amount of landscaping that we propose to provide, because for us the opportunity to have outdoor experience, particularly those 8 months out of the year when the weather is, pretty glorious here in South Florida, we want to literally embrace that with significant amount of landscape material. And there's quite a bit of it, not only happening around the perimeter of the total center, but also around the perimeter and the pavement areas where vehicles are either queuing or they're parking. And with that, we're going to finish our presentation, and thank you, and be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
Were you including any monument signage?
Yeah. There is one monument sign that I'm going to use the word inherited from the original Village of Mayfair, and that is, I'm going to call it a project directory, because I believe it's a sign that allows up to four users on it. So that would be the only sign right now that we would, in effect, install there.
Yeah, just to clarify that, this drive-through restaurant would not be entitled to their standalone monument sign, so they're not proposing any at this time.
Mm-hmm. And has staff reviewed all the landscaping proposed? Does it all meet with?
Correct, yeah. As part of the DRC review, landscape is one of the reviewers, and they have reviewed and signed off on the plan.
Any questions from board members?
Yeah, I just have one regarding traffic. On the north side of this project is two housing areas, residential areas. And I know I've been to the other Culvers and a couple of them, and I know the traffic can get kind of heavy coming out. How are you going to have you done any studies? I'll put it that way. Did you do any studies about traffic in and out of the two housing areas or two residential areas?
Sure.
Both on Hiatus Road and Pembroke Road.
Okay. So maybe, Michelle, can we go back to like the contextual plan? Yeah.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that we quite get there. But, council member, I'm not sure which residential community you're speaking about. If it's Raintree,
right?
There's Raintree.
The homes, and then there's townhomes along. If you look along Hiatus Road, behind the blue roof building,
okay,
you go all the way up. There's townhomes.
Yeah. So if I can, Michelle, I'm going to borrow this. There is an axis here, right? That I think is the one that you're referring to that heads north. It's parallel to Hiatus. It's not Hiatus Road, right? And it gives access to the residential community that is north of us. The reality is our development is as far south as we can go on the site and as far west as we can go on the site. We've, in effect, reviewed, if you will, the trips of any that we anticipate would come in and out, and we have, in effect, through our studies, reflected that there is no conflict with this access road to the community to the north. I want to remind you that Culver's begins at 10 a.m. They don't serve an early breakfast menu. So number one, you know, that peak hour, let's say between 7 and 9, we're not open. And the reality is they are open at night, I want to say till 10 o'clock, and I believe that they may on the weekend open till 11. But we don't anticipate any conflict with this access road at all, whatsoever, by virtue of where we are and how we expect traffic to either come to us this way, right, through this drive, they come around and they go in this way, or if they miss that entrance, they can always come in that way. So we don't see or feel a concern for this. I can tell you that we had meetings with our neighbors across the water, because believe it or not, a Raintree, which is a total of 500 homes, and it's a combination of single-family and townhome residents, they have emergency access only.
Okay.
And that is not open other than for the benefit of emergencies. There is a significant precast wall here.
I don't remember if that was a gate there or not.
Yeah, it is a gate, but it's basically locked, and it can only be used from the residential community side for the purposes of emergency. So we've met with Raintree on a number of occasions because, number one, because of this, and we wanted them to realize that we're not impacting that privacy wall. Number two, because theoretically we're across the water from them, and we have a strong relationship with them. As a matter of fact, we are receiving an easement from them that's going to allow us to improve a significant amount of frontage here on the water in that lake, which happens to be their property that we're going to improve and we're going to maintain. But nonetheless, we needed to get an easement from them that we previously got. We just reminded them that we have it. And there's also a drainage easement so that we can move a pipe from here to down here. So we have had a strong relationship with our neighbors. They've obviously been written to through the requirements where we send letters to, it's not only the HOA, but every resident within 500 feet. And we've answered a number of individual questions or concerns. And if there's any public here tonight from our, from the neighborhood, then we'll be happy to speak to them. But our traffic studies give us a clean bill, if you will, in terms of the day-to-day operations of the Culvers, and in particular the way that we handle on-site parking and on-site queuing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it a restaurant only, or are there live events, live music, or any music, or?
No, it is a restaurant only, and I'm smiling because if you visit any Culvers today, there's a little cute art piece where children or even adults, you can put your face behind the art piece and take a picture, and I think it's just a fun thing, and that attracts, the kids and the families, but there is no entertainment at all. And it's a little bit different than your traditional quick service restaurant because there's a tremendous emphasis on hospitality. You actually do order your meal at a counter. There's a person that takes your order. You sit, and then your meal is brought to you. And that may sound like it's pretty conventional, but the truth is that relationship between the patron and, for that matter, how he is or she or they are served is very important to the Culver's brand. This is a brand that originated in the Midwest, and little by little it's kind of flowing across the nation. And the reality is it's the dining space of the Culver's is quite impressive by virtue of its cleanliness, by virtue of its design, the furnishings, the materials, and again, there's a strong commitment for Culver's to be superior when it comes to hospitality and offering not only food, but offering an experience for either individuals or families or friends that are getting together at Culver's.
Your color board that you had there,
Yes.
could you be more specific of which, you had a slide here of the,
Yeah.
of the buildings, which goes where? As far as the blues, there's like two different blues that are similar but different.
Yeah, I'm going to do that, ma'am. But if it helps, I want to tell you that on sheet A1, and you may and may not have, I don't know, but on sheet A1, there is a there are rendered elevations on all four sides of the building. And again, I'm going to read it right from here, and then, okay, right? So if we do this together, you'll see that the roof edge is actually not a stucco, but that roof edge is actually a metal cap. And we purposely use metal because we realize that stucco, especially if it's on the top of a parapet, is eventually going to possibly deteriorate and the color won't last. So we have a metal coping, metal cap on top, which is the Regal Blue. Then we have trim pieces that are in effect fiber cement or precast boards. We have the fiber cement siding, and what that means is siding traditionally is a wood material, and we don't like to use wood down here in South Florida, even though Culver's could easily use wood up north. So there's a product that in effect mimics the siding, but it's actually a cement board that also, not only for maintenance and durability, but for hurricane codes, has the appropriate requirements for the material. So the body of the building is going to be that cement siding. The awnings that are metal are actually aluminum, and they match the same color of the signal blue, which is the cap. The decorative light fixtures are all LED. For that matter, all the light fixtures, whether they're on the building and they're primarily decorative, or they're on our light poles and they shine on the parking field, or they're inside the building, part of our commitment to sustainability is that they're all LED fixtures, meaning that the purity and quality of the light is greater, while the consumption of power is significantly less. The stone is a staggered color of stones to create not only interest, but to create a sense of texture. And the dumpster enclosure, and you can see it here. Let's see. Can I see it? Yeah, I lost the arrow. There, it's flying there. Has, if you look on all three sides, because that's one, this is the gate side of the dumpster enclosure, and this is the, let's say, wall side of the dumpster enclosure. Has, again, the same siding that we're using in the building, the same stone that we're using on the columns, and for that matter, on the base. And this is where I mentioned to you, oh, before I forget, this is actually a flat roof. The flat roof is actually sloped. It's not quite flat. It's sloped so that we can drain it, and we pick up all that drainage into drains that ultimately go down into the storm system. But what's important is that you will not see any rooftop equipment. Either this parapet, or for that matter, this taller parapet, is going to block any equipment that's roof mounted from being viewed from the street level. The glazing is all missile impact glass, and the glazing, in effect, the framing of the glazing is I'm trying to remember the color, which color it is. I think it's the anodized bronze that is here as the framing of all of the glazing. And the missile impact glass has a minimal, yet it does have some shading coefficient to make sure that we're keeping the heat load out while allowing the natural light to come in, while allowing great views from the inside to the outside.
So these colors are standard for Culver's?
Most of them are. We tweaked a few of them just because there's a component of your code that addresses compatibility. So we were trying to mix, a very strong, let's say, color brand from Culver's with what was there. And we found elements that we could, make a little lighter, make a little darker. Let's at least match the material. Let's try to match the shading coefficient of all the glass, and so on and so forth. But yes, most of the materials that you see here literally are part of the Culver's brand.
Any other questions from board members? Anyone from the public wish to address this item? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the applicant's request to construct a freestanding drive-through restaurant Culver's.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by member Doris Gonzalez, second by member Goldich. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. We're very excited. We're very excited.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep, congratulations.
Now we'll have two.
Okay, I think that number 6 is here.
They got it? Number 6?
I think I saw him. I saw him somewhere.
Okay, he's over. He's right here.
Oh, there he is. Okay, we're going back to number 6. ZV 2025-001, Shabbat Labovich of Pembroke Pines, 18490 Johnson Street, variance request.
Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Rabbi Mordechai Intrusier. I'm sorry?
Oh, do you waive your quasi-judicial rights and you have to swear him in, right?
Yes, Madam Chair. Please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do. Okay. First of all, I want to apologize that I'm late. I was left out of the loop. There's a lot of it going on. I'm one-man show at the synagogue, so I appreciate you giving me the time. So just a little bit about Chabad, what we do, and about the variance. Chabad is the largest Jewish outreach organization in the world. We promote Jewish observance, absolute joy, and welcoming. Everybody is welcome. And we try to nudge everybody gently on their own path towards a stronger Jewish observance, which includes keeping kosher and keeping the Sabbath. So one of the elements of keeping the Sabbath is we walk to services. We don't drive. In the rain, shine, it doesn't make a difference. In the synagogue, I have a whole total separate set of clothing, in case, not in case. It happens all the time. And so thank God, we've been here for 20 years. Been in Silver Lakes for 20 years. We started out in Townhouse, and we've been very successful. We had an office in the Pine Professional Campus. And then in 2019, we leased and then purchased this land from the city, where we have our synagogue now. So one of the foundations of a Jewish community is what's something called a mikveh. A mikveh is called a ritual bath. So very, very quick lesson in biblical Jewish law. So according to Jewish law, every month, a woman has to go to a mikveh before she could be intimate with her husband after a period. It's a very special, very private moment. So we are looking to grow the Jewish community, and our hopes is to build a mikveh. It's a small mikveh. The mikveh is one pool, it's small tiny swimming pools, only for one person, and 2 changing rooms. The whole building, as you can see, is 1,300 square feet. It's come to our attention that parking is an issue. in our case, parking is really, our parking lot is left empty 95% of the time. During the week, it's office space. And then even on Shabbat, Sabbath, which have Friday night services and Saturday morning service, which we have our most people, let's say 40, 50 people, we have maximum 10 cars. Because people are walking from across the street in Silver Lakes, they're walking from across the street in Chapel Trails. There are some older people that can't walk, they drive. But in fact, everyone just parks in the side parking lots. We have 2 parking lots on our land. The first one is not used at all. I was going to bring pictures. For some reason, I got the impression that the meeting was in August, so I apologize. I'm a rookie at this. So we have 43 spaces, which according to the regulation doesn't meet it, but we don't even use even a quarter of those spaces on our greatest time. So we have Bible study on Monday nights, and we have services on Sunday morning together with Hebrew school, but the parents drop off their kids and then go, and no one stays. So the last line on the slide, the mikveh project, which I said, is a maximum of 3 people. Now, I also want to add about the mikveh, women can only go to the mikveh in the evenings. So even if, let's say, we have 10 people, it would never conflict with the current services. A woman can only go to the mikveh after sundown. So in our time, so for example, let's say the mikveh was open right now, people wouldn't even be coming yet. Actually, sunset's in about 20, 30 minutes. So at night, it'll have 3 people, max. Then during the day, it'll just be what it is now. If I'm speaking too fast, or if I'm overloading you with information, I apologize. So you see on the slide, there are special circumstances or conditions applying to the land. The majority of the congregation walks to the shul. Shul is Yiddish for temple. During Shabbat, Sabbath services, and such, we really have 20 parking spaces occupied, even during the busiest times. The only time we have is high holidays, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. That's 3 days a year. Any alleged hardship is not self-created. The property was purchased as is from the city, and we haven't had issues in the 5 years since then. Granting the variance is not incompatible with public policy and will not adversely affect any adjacent property owners, and circumstances which cause special conditions are peculiar to the subject property. We don't anticipate anything in the future. Like I said, it's a small building off to the side of what it is now. Any questions?
Questions for the board?
So, just a couple of questions. So basically, you're planning ahead, so you can build in the mikvah. And once you get the approval for the parking spaces, you'll submit your plans and
right. We have
to the permits for the city, or have you already done that?
No, but our site plan approval's coming up, I think, in August.
Yeah, he has a site plan application submitted already. It's going through review. It should be on the agenda in August.
Right, so
It's only about the parking spaces.
Okay, so pending the parking spaces.
Correct. If the variance is approved, they'll then have the spaces to.
That was my only question.
That's why I thought the whole thing was in August. Sorry.
What is the size of your congregation?
Well, because Chabad, we don't charge a membership, and everybody is welcome no matter what. So we have people that come only for Hebrew school, people come only for Hanukkah, people come only for services. So on a regular Sabbath, we'll have 40, 50 people. On Hanukkah, we do Pembroke Gardens. Ms. Alvarez is great. We have like 200 people. High holidays, we'll have 100 people. It's hard to, because everybody's welcome, no questions asked. So some people walk in and we never see them again.
So there's no activity you'd have that uses the total of the 43 spaces?
The only time we filled up the spaces is Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur in the afternoon. That's the only time. But even then, a woman, a little more Jewish law, a woman cannot go to the mikvah on Yom Kippur. Because one of the laws
Bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs also?
I'm sorry?
Bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs you also do there also?
Yeah, but again, those are, if you hear in between, but we've never had a problem with parking.
With parking?
Never. And again, the mikveh doesn't, even such, the mikveh is a night thing, never a day thing. It's a woman, it's a woman's mikveh. It's only for women, and only three people can be at a time.
Any other questions?
Oh, I learned, I didn't know it was only at night.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because according to Jewish law, a woman has to count 7 complete days. And in the Bible, the day, the 24-hour day, starts at night. Like in Genesis 1, and it was
Right.
evening and it was morning. So a woman has to wait till the 7th day is completely over, and then she can go to the mikveh. So the earliest a woman will go to the mikveh in Pembroke Pines would be 6 p.m. in the winter. In the summer, it'll be 8:30, whatever it is. That's, yeah.
Right. Interesting.
That's,
Any other questions from the board?
No. Nope.
Anybody from the audience want to speak? 2 people? I guess not. Okay, can I have a motion of some kind?
I'd like to make a motion to grant a variance under A, since this was the way that they purchased the property.
And you have to say whether it's A, B, or C.
He did.
I just said A.
Oh, it's A, okay, I didn't hear you. The second?
A second. Aloy seconds.
Who did the second?
No.
Aloy. I second.
Okay. Motion made by Member Goldich, seconded by Member Valloy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
thank you very much. I guess
Thank
we'll
you.
see you again in August.
See you in August.
All right,
yeah.
awesome. Thank you very much. What do we do?
Okay, Member LeBate and
Form?
alternate member Zacharias have requested an excused absence for tonight's meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Motion made by Doris Gonzalez, seconded by Member Goldich. All those in
approve what?
favor?
Aye.
What is it?
To excuse,
Oh, excuse. Oh, okay. Okay, aye.
Do any of the board members have questions for staff?
No.
Does staff have any questions or statements or whatever?
Yes, real quick. Just going back to Member Jones's comments about the colors and architecture earlier. You guys do serve as the architectural review board, so reviewing the colors and such are under your purview. That's why we bring those items before you. There is no color palette per se, but if you don't like the colors that are coming before you, it's well within your power to comment and ask questions about it and potentially get modifications. The colors kind of go through trends and changes. Before with the beiges and now everything's gray. But again, it is under your review. Secondly, there's the Form 1 Statement of Financial Interest. You should have or will be receiving it already. If you are on the board at any time during 2024, you will have to fill that out and file it with the state. And just please make sure you do so you do not accrue any penalties. Cheryl, we did receive an email from the clerk. Are we going to forward that to them, or did we already? Did we send it to them?
I printed it and gave it.
Oh, you did. All right, so Cheryl actually did print the email and gave it to all of you. So if you have any other questions, you can contact the city clerk and they can further assist you.
Thank you for mentioning that about the colors. I think, we need to be, I feel conscious about what colors are going where, what the trend is, you'll probably hear a lot from me about color. So I don't know how everybody else feels about, being, or what the process has been for reviewing colors that people propose, or have they just sort of been accepted?
We take it, from the time that I've been here, we take it case by case. And if it's something that's glaringly ugly, we'll say it, it's ugly. Especially Madam Chairman will definitely state if it's ugly.
my understanding is there's no pre-approved colors.
No, there's no palette.
There's no approved
Yeah,
colors.
that's correct. There's no pre-approved color palette. Everything that comes before you is, it's under their own request.
The other thing I would add is that, along that line, is that Culver's, places like Culver's, Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, et cetera, these chain stores have a set color scheme.
That's why I asked
And
that,
so
yeah.
Culver's, there's a Culver's in Cooper City. I don't know if you know.
I had never heard of that
All right,
restaurant,
so
no.
yeah, it's on University Drive. I know doesn't matter now.
It is? God, I know,
But,
I never
yeah,
noticed
on,
it.
On University south of Sterling.
Okay.
Similar to Chick-fil-A.
But anyway, that's like that's their color scheme,
Mm-hmm.
like as is Home Depot's orange, as is Lowe's blue, and whatever.
Kind of like the
So-
bricks they had.
So, you know, I mean, if it was something unusual, like she said, you know, they wanted to make paint it black, I'm like, you know, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I always kid my wife when she asks what color do you want to paint the house, I say black.
Right.
You know, just the kid with her, but you know, generally on a company like that comes in, they're going to be loath to want to change their color.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have to have a good reason to make them do that.
Usually, we're more concerned with architectural features.
I
you know,
understand.
instead of just the blocks.
But
There's
color is
some
very
texture.
important because I don't know, well, I think Linda was on the board. I don't know if you were on the board that many years ago. There was I think was Mr. Martinez, was putting it in the office building on the other side of Walmart, other side of 184th. And he had said that the colors would be similar to the, subdued gold of the school. Well, what school is that? That is near there. And so it was approved, and it turns out it was like the color of a fire hydrant or a curb. And I absolutely had a fit. And that was the one time I came in front of this board and let this board, not this board, but the board at the time, know that I was having a fit about that. And Mayor Castillo always, then Commissioner Castillo always remembered that. And when it came time for them to be changing their color, he was able to tell them to get rid of that color. But so ever since then, I'm very sensitive to color, and that the color that they present is the color that it ends up being. And so...
Well, that's why we like to see the actual colors in, like the stone, the actual stone, so you, because it doesn't always translate from the...
No, even the samples, it can be very different from the samples.
It even looks different on the screen as opposed to the picture.
Right.
But, I mean, like, I would love to see, I guess we can't do it, but staff could do it. Make sure that when the paint starts going on the building, to, like, mark it against the sample that they presented and make sure that it's a reasonably close enough to it, because, like I said, I'm just after that happened with that building, because the colors can be very different and it could have been an innocent, mistake, but that was just way overboard, a color that I didn't want to see in Pembroke Pines. And
Wouldn't that have to do with the CO along that point? You know, if they did something wrong, obviously, then they wouldn't get signed off on their CO or at least delayed anyway.
Yeah, typically we do inspections of the site, prior to issuance of CO.
yeah, they shouldn't have. This seemed to have fallen through all the cracks. And
It happens.
Yeah, but I never let anyone forget about it. So all these years later, that had to be like 2010 or something. I've never gotten over it. I'm sorry.
It's okay. One last thing to mention, I know we talked about already, the next meeting is in August 14th. There are no meetings in the month of July, so enjoy your July break, and we'll be back in August.
Sounds good. Motion to adjourn?
Seeing no further business, this meeting is adjourned.